Hey everybody, it's Cameron again, back with another episode of Let's Build a Flow. Specifically, this flow is going to help us track opportunity records where we can upsell in order to maximize revenue. So here are the main objectives. We're going to create a flow type that is record triggered. The object that it's going to work on is the opportunity object, and the purpose of this flow is as follows. When the client's bill subtotal is calculated, and if that subtotal is less than the client's budget, the opportunity record should be flagged as an upsell opportunity. To show you what this flow is going to accomplish on the opportunity record page, we're going to add some products to this that I know will end with a client bill subtotal that is less than the client's budget. So we're going to add products here. We're going to do CPQ implementation, Sales Cloud implementation, and Service Cloud implementation. We're going to do one of each. These are the per hour rates, and we'll hit save. As you can see, instantly, these formula fields calculated the client's bill subtotal. The flow recognized that it was less than the client's budget, so it marked the opportunity as an upsell opportunity. That way salespeople can know that there's room to sell a little bit more service to this client. Now, before we jump into building the flow, there are some prerequisites that have to be pre-built into the org in order to make this flow. For instance, we need to have products on the opportunity record pages, individual products priced as per hour rates. We need to have a few custom fields. For instance, the project start date, estimated end date, and the client budget. We're also going to need some custom formula fields, project weeks, billable hours, and client bill subtotal. The project weeks and billable hours are going to be formulated from the custom fields above, the project start date and estimated end date. And then the client bill subtotal is going to be when you add the products. Those per hour rates are going to be multiplied by the billable hours to give you a client bill subtotal value. And last but not least, a custom checkbox field simply titled Upsell Opportunity. We're also going to need the banner that's going to display the Upsell Opportunity banner. We're going to want to put it on that opportunity record page, somewhere where it can be seen pretty well. And we're going to set the component visibility to where it only displays if that upsell opportunity custom checkbox field equals true. In other words, is checked. So if we go back to the purpose of the flow, we can begin to break down what it is the flow is going to need in order to accomplish this goal. When the client's bill subtotal is calculated, and if that subtotal is less than the client's budget, the opportunity record should be flagged as an upsell opportunity. Well, this very first sentence gives us the entry criteria. So we know the entry criteria is going to be when the client bill subtotal field is changed. That's going to trigger the flow. This next line, and if that subtotal is less than the client's budget, is going to be the next element in the flow, which is a decision element. Basically, it's going to check the value of client bill subtotal against the value of client budget. And you're going to have yes or no, like all decision elements. In this last line, the opportunity record should be flagged as an upsell opportunity. So that tells us what's going to happen along the yes path. If the client's budget is higher than the client's bill subtotal, then the checkbox field upsell opportunity should be checked. The flow is going to look something like this, and here you can see the different elements broken down. All right, so let's go ahead and build this flow. Like we said, this is going to be a record triggered flow. The object is going to be opportunity, because that's what we're working with. And this is going to flow when the record is updated. So let's set those condition requirements. And like we said, the entry criteria is when the client bill subtotal is changed. So we're going to find the client's bill subtotal. The operator is going to be is changed. And the value is going to be true. Because it's true, that the client bill subtotal changed. This flow is going to be optimized for fast field updates because everything is happening right there on that opportunity record. The first element that we're going to have is a decision element. This is where we're going to pose a question to the flow. Specifically, is the budget higher than the client's bill subtotal? And then the flow will operate either by answering yes or no and take a different path depending. So like I said, this is a decision element. We'll label it is the budget higher. This outcome we'll label yes, and the default outcome we'll label no. So what happens, what will dictate if the flow should go down the yes path? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. And like we've said, it's when the client's budget is greater than the subtotal. So the resource for that, we're going to go to the opportunity record and go to the client budget, which is actually the API name in my org is project budget. The operator is going to be greater than, and the value is going to be the opportunity record's value for the field client bill subtotal. But because this flow is optimized for fast field updates, we're actually going to have to select record prior. And then we'll go to bill subtotal. And that is the condition requirements to execute the yes outcome. The alternative would just be no, and that's just the default outcome if the yes requirements aren't met. So if it is no, the flow is just going to end because there's nothing to do. But if the answer is yes, that's when we want to trigger the update on that record. So we're going to update the triggering record. And this is going to be update as upsell opportunity. We're using the opportunity record that triggered the flow. We're going to say none, always update the record, because if the decision outcome is yes, we always want this update to happen. And what are we updating? We're actually updating that checkbox field, upsell opportunity. That default value for that upsell opportunity checkbox is false or unchecked. So we're going to make it be true. So that will check the checkbox, and because we've set up the banner to only be visible if that checkbox is checked, that means automatically that banner is going to show up now too. And there you have it. There's the flow right there. We broke it down with the purpose statement into individual elements, and we built it out right here live. Thank you so much for building this flow with me. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, that's how you can find me. Let's also follow each other on Trailhead.